this half of the module, I'll show you how to debrief candidates after a second and third interview. After a second interview, you need to go back through the same debriefing questions. Things like, how comfortable were you in the interview? How confident are you now in your ability to do the job and meet their expectations? At this stage, are there any areas about the role that you're concerned about? If they're still interested and committed to the opportunity, you can now start to close them. I would ask, if you were offered the job for $47,000, as we previously discussed, would you accept it? The client's maximum budget is $47,000. Are you confident in the opportunity and the career progression in the company to accept $47,000? This is your first closing question, and it's normally where recruiters start compromising and making mistakes. Yes is the only acceptable answer. Or yes, as long as I get the training I need and the holiday I've booked in a couple of months' time. These are acceptable conditions. Judge them on a case-by-case basis. If they say no, ask them why and listen to their response. Addressing your candidate's concerns rather than trying to influence them will help you in the long run. How did the client close the interview? Based on the information we've discussed, would you accept an offer from the client subject to the final interview going well? At this stage, you need to address 3 potential concerns with the candidate. Is the location an issue? Would your candidate's commute cause problems down the line? Does your candidate have any medical issues which could stop them from accepting this role? Do they need to speak to anyone else before making a decision? It's important to find out if your candidate needs to talk to a partner or a family member before accepting an offer. You need to understand what their expectations are for your candidate in this role to help you manage any obstacles that may present themselves later on in the process. Ask your candidate, is he interviewing anywhere else? Although you would have asked this question early in the process, I'd always ask it again. Most candidates won't tell you about other roles before the first interview. You're more likely to get an honest answer now because it's a potential issue. They could also be in touch with other recruiters who have arranged interviews for them, so it's important to find out if they're progressing with other roles. If they're interviewing elsewhere, I would ask, how does this role compare to other roles you're looking at? If you are given equal offers from each opportunity you're considering, which one would you take? It's up to you to make a judgment call on how committed they are to your role. I would always take candidates out of the process if they're leaning towards another opportunity after the second interview. Don't be afraid to take the role away from them. Tell them this is one of your key clients and that you're committed to finding them the right candidate. If your candidate wants the role, you need to confirm their start date, their notice period, and whether they have any holiday left that could reduce their notice period. This is a great opportunity to get the candidate committed to this opportunity. If you're convinced that they're committed to the role and that you're moving them forward to the final interview, remember to brief them and the client as thoroughly as you brief them for interviews 1 and 2. I can't stress how important it is to revisit Module 6 before each stage of every interview. After the third interview, I would repeat the question process again, such as, how did the interview go and how long were you there for? Could you still see yourself working in the organisation? How confident are you now in your ability to do the job and meet their expectations? If the candidate is still committed to the role, you need to confirm and close them on the package they're willing to accept. I would say something like, if the client makes an offer of $47,000, can I accept it on your behalf? If they say no, understand why. Remember, your candidate might need to talk to someone before accepting the offer. Gently ask the candidate What is preventing them from accepting the offer, and try to help them if you can? What figure can I accept from the client on your behalf? If the candidate wants more money than the package you previously agreed on, you know their interest levels have dropped. You need to understand why and make a judgment call from here. My key tips to take away from this module are: debrief your candidate straight after each interview and maintain the momentum of the process. If they no longer want the job, you can immediately start looking for someone else who does. Listen to your candidate. Their answers and their tone of voice will tell you what you need to know. Look out for the red flags. If you don't address the issues as and when they arise as part of this process, they will rear their head later on. Don't be tempted to take any shortcuts and simplify the process after each interview. Any compromises could put the placement at risk. Attention to detail in the debriefing stages is critical, so you must thoroughly follow the steps and questions outlined in this module.